What's going on, everybody? And are you ready for the best betting show of the week? That's right, it's the Undefeated Post-Weigh In Show, brought to you by Pub Sports Radio. My name is Clint. I'm your host of the Die Hard MMA podcast, and we're taking one final look at the fighters as they step on the scales and face off with one another before they step into the cage tomorrow. Let's see if we can find any chinks in the armor, any little angle where we might be able to make some extra money or avoid a bad bet based on what we see on the scales today. Do me a favor and smash that like button. Let's get right on into this bad boy. Luana Pinheiro taking on Sam Hughes. Now, Pinheiro made 116. Sam Hughes was 115 and a half. Luana Pinheiro honestly looked good. Abs popping, gave a good pose and a smile. Sam Hughes, no issues. She looked totally normal. Nothing really to report. She's not a hard body, so we don't really see much of that here anyway. This was an intense face-off. Both these women look ready to go. Slight size advantage goes to Hughes, and I'm a little surprised to see that. I honestly thought that Luana Pinheiro was going to be a little bit taller and longer when they face off. It is apparent that Sam is the one who's actually got the size advantage here. So as somebody who's flirting with the idea of betting Sam Hughes, I like to see that. I think this line is disrespectful. I don't think Sam Hughes should be anywhere near this big of a favorite. I also understand that more than likely, Luana Pinheiro is going to come out to a fast start, and we will get a better line on Sam Hughes once this fight gets past round one. Now, if we're wrong about that, now I did this last week with Kennedy and Chukwu, where I thought the same thing, and I ended up betting him pre-flop, and I cost myself a unit because he didn't survive round one. That's the exact same kind of situation here. If Sam Hughes shows up and she does what I think she can do, maybe round one is a little closer, and maybe I don't get a better line in betting live. So I'm leaning towards Sam Hughes here. I do think there's some value there, and if she can weather that early storm of Luana Pinheiro, she takes over the fight. That's the read. Might lock it in, might wait and live bet it. We'll see. Next fight up, Sha Yilan taking on Sean Soriano. Yilan came in at 145. Soriano made 146. And Sha Yilan is jacked. This is an absolute tank of a man down here at this weight class. Sean Soriano gave a big flex. He looked a little sucked out in the face, if I'm being honest, but no real issues with Sean Soriano. These guys size up really well. The big difference between these two is the thickness. Sean Soriano is the same size as Sha Yilan, but Sha Yilan is about twice as wide as Sean Soriano is. Now, we know that Soriano has a problem with the grappling. We know he might have gas tank concerns, and that's really where Sha Yilan, Northern Becky, makes all of his money, is he gets in there and he bullies people, he overpowers people in the grappling, and as long as he's able to do that, he wins fights. So this is another spot where I can't trust Sean Soriano at minus 275. He's got a clear as day striking advantage, but getting plus 220, plus 235 on his opponent, I have a hard time not taking a stab at that. I haven't bet it yet because I just don't trust Sha Yilan. This is another spot where I'm going to look live. If he survives round one, if Sean Soriano looks like he's slowing down, if he's starting to take big deep breaths, then we jump in on Sha Yilan live when this thing is going tomorrow. Next up, Cody Durden taking on Quilang Aori. Both men made 126 on the dot. Cody Durden, I can't put my finger on it. He looked a little off today. I don't understand. I can't describe for you what it was because physically he looked fine. He moved well. He flexed. Like, all of it was there, but something just didn't seem quite right to me, and I can't quite tell you what that was. Quilang Aori, on the other hand, he looked good. He's skinny, but boy, is he cut up. When they faced off, Durden came in hot, like bully-style hot, came in, and Aori was not backing down. This face-off got intense, and then Cody Durden tried to shake his hand afterward, and Aori wasn't having it. You love to see that. Once you start shit, you better come correct. So Cody Durden, he's going to be the slightly thicker of the two fighters, and Quilang Aori is taller and longer. This is a striker versus grappler matchup, and this is a spot where I've just been waiting on my spot to pounce. The bookmakers open this line pick 'em. I tend to agree with that. I'm not overly impressed with Cody Durden, and he's been steamed all the way to minus 175. I think that's way too much, and I'm waiting for my spot to pounce on Quilang Aori. I see 135 plus 140. There's a couple plus 145s popping up out there, and I'll take that. I'll take plus 145. I have not bet it yet, but if I can get to plus 150, I wouldn't be surprised with the way this line is moving. I just think this line's getting a little out of hand, and I expect Quilang Aori to put up one hell of a fight, and I think he wins probably via decision, so I'll take a shot on that dog. Terrence McKinney taking on Faraz Ziam. This is the big one. This is the one everyone's waiting to see. Really, this one could be the main event tomorrow because everyone's so excited about this fight. Terrence McKinney made 155 and a half, made Ziam made 156. McKinney gave a big flex, looked good, looked excited. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? Ziam smiling, relaxed. He's been here a million times before. He's been around the block at the UFC, so nothing really getting to him here. When they faced off, something that really got me going here, height advantage for Ziam. Now, one of the things that I think Terrence McKinney is used to is having that height and reach advantage. He's very tall, he's very long for the division, and then he's athletic and explosive. Now he's fighting a guy who's actually going to be taller and longer than he is. That's going to change things for him. I am on Ziam here, and if I'm being honest, I'm tempted to double down. Seeing that he's got the size advantage only makes me a little bit more confident in the fact that he can win this fight. Terrence McKinney comes out like a bat out of hell in round 1, but after that, what happens? When he faces somebody who is sharp, who is technical, who can extend him, that's when he's had some problems, and that's exactly what Ziam does and what he's done in the UFC so far. I think that technical striking is going to be an advantage, and I think he deserves to be the favorite, probably a bigger one than he is. He's only minus 110, minus 120, so again, might double down on Ziam before Saturday's kickoff. Loma Lookboonmee taking on Godinez. Both women made 115 and a half. Loma Lookboonmee came in rocking the blue hair. You love to see that. She looks good. Normal weigh-in, no issues. She's small for the division, so no problems there. Same thing with Lupita, really. She's small for the division as well. She's got a big old smile on her face. She looked good, no issues. When they face off, another one where they were extremely respectful and they sized up extremely well. I was really hoping that Loma... and that Lupita Godinez was going to have a size advantage. I think she's going to have a significant strength and grappling advantage, but she is the same size, if not just a little bit smaller than Loma Lookboonmee, and that does not bode well for somebody trying to overpower their opponent and take them down. Now, she might still be stronger than Loma. These are one of those sketchy situations we get ourselves into where it's hard to really tell until they clinch up. We'll be able to see who's got the strength advantage almost immediately when they tie up together in the fight. Generally, it's the person who's larger, or obviously if you get like a more built fighter, someone like Shah earlier that we talked about, you can tell they're going to be the more physically powerful of the two. But with these two, it's hard to tell because they're roughly the same size. So I'm not riding to the bank on Lupita Godinez. I really thought that I was going to. I thought I was going to get in on her and maybe lay the chalk, and I really wanted to see a size and strength advantage for that. At this point, I don't have that, so I'm probably just going to pass, but I'm picking Lupita Godinez to go ahead and get the win via wrestling, maybe lock up a submission. I don't mind the sprinkle on that sub prop. Rafa Garcia taking on Natan Levy. Garcia made 155. Levy made 154. Garcia, stoic up there. He's not messing around, folks. Coming off 2 losses, he knows what's on the line here. Gave a good, solid flex. He's in good shape, ready to go. Natan Levy, well-muscled, cocky-ass smile. Got to give it to the kid. He's undefeated. He knows what he's bringing to the table, so can't blame him for being a little bit overconfident. Levy is taller and longer than Rafa Garcia, but Rafa is thicker. Boy, is he thicker. Well-muscled, good face-off. These guys are both ready to go. I am siding with Rafa Garcia on this one. This is a show-me spot. Natan Levy is a guy that he's hyped up, but he's only got 6 fights. We'll see if he can swim with the Sharks at the UFC level. Rafa Garcia, I think he's better than he's shown us. Even though he's got 2 losses in the UFC, he's been very competitive in both of them, nearly won both by knockout. I've got Rafa Garcia minus 110, and this is another one where I'm tempted to put some more money on. I just got done doing Lock Show. Shout out my guy, MMA Lock of the Night, and I talked about Rafa Garcia by knockout. They're giving me plus 650, and I think that's a spot where I might end up throwing a half unit because we've seen Levy hurt, we've seen Levy wobbled, and Rafa Garcia is a guy with some big explosive power. He nearly put his last opponent away in the first round. I would love to see him go back to that kind of a style here. I think he could get Levy out of there. Pat Sabatini taking on Tucker Lutz. Sabatini made 145. Lutz made 145 and a half. Lutz gave a huge flex. This man is absolutely jacked. He looked good. Tucker Lutz cut up himself. This guy is in great shape. Intense flexing. He had a very intense look on his face the whole time. This dude is ready to go. These guys size up extremely well. Both of them respectful, ready. Pardon me. Got a tickle in the throat. This one is going to be fun. I beat the line movement massively. I'm on Tucker Lutz. Money's been pouring in on him basically all week, driving this thing down to about a pick'em. So, yeah, take that for what you will. I think they look good. I think they sized up well. I think Tucker Lutz is the kind of guy that will be able to stuff the grappling of Pat Sabatini and make this a striking match. And if he can do that, he's going to have a significant advantage on the feet. So I'm definitely rolling with the dog, Tucker Lutz here. Good luck if you decide to roll the other side. I get it. If Pat Sabatini gets this to the ground, his submission game is going to give him a significant advantage. But hey, every fight starts on the feet. So I'm going to go with Lutz in this one. Davey Grant taking on Adrian Yanez, another fight that we're all very excited about. Grant made 135.5. Yanez made 135 on the dot. Classic Davey Grant on the scales today. Business as usual. Got a bit of an awkward body type. Again, not one of these muscle-bound, cut-up dudes where we can get much of a read on him. He looked fine. I did seem to think that Adrian Yanez looked a little bit more cut than usual. He might have added some muscle onto his frame. Big smile, big flex. He looked good. When they faced off, both guys incredibly confident in their own skills here, but Davey Grant was much taller. And I mean, this is a significant size advantage for Davey Grant. That's something that is a little bit worrying. I've got Adrian Yanez in a parlay. I'm going to go ahead and ride that out, but I do see the argument for taking a stab on Davey Grant. And if you're going to take that shot, I mean, Grant by knockout is 10-1. Like, if he's going to hit a guy that leads with his chin, there's a chance Davey Grant gets this thing done in a big way. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. So if you want to take that stab at Davey Grant by knockout, that is not a bad number. Juicy, juicy prop there. I'm picking Yanez. I think this is kind of a setup spot. I think Grant's durability is finally going to catch up with him. Quick turnaround, and Yanez hits like a freaking truck. So I'm going to side with the young kid. Joanne Wood taking on Taila Santos. Wood came in at 126. Santos 125.5. And Wood, I'll be honest, she was blinking a little bit too much for my liking up there, but she looked okay. She looked fine. Nothing to be too concerned with. Taila Santos absolutely jacked this girl. Came in with a big smile, no issues whatsoever. When they face off, there's a slight size advantage for JoJo. I was a little surprised by that. I keep envisioning Taila Santos being this towering figure in the division, just bigger, stronger, mauling people. But JoJo actually was a decent bit bigger. This was an intense face-off. Both women know that a title shot is likely on the line here in this spot. And I am closing my parlay with Adrian Yanez on Taila Santos. It's a square parlay. I do understand that. And I'm actually probably going to end up hedging with Joanne Calderwood via decision because she is getting a ridiculous number. She only wins this fight by decision. She's never knocking anybody out. She's never submitting anybody. So if she wins, it's going to be a close, hairy, split decision type of situation, and you can get 4 or 5-1 on that. So it's a very easy hedge spot to get JoJo's best path to victory and then survive your parlay if she is to pull the upset. So I might actually do that. I might actually go JoJo via decision just to make sure we're protecting ourselves here in this spot because she does have some advantages. She's going to have the advantage on the feet, and the size advantage is definitely concerning when Taila Santos is basically going to have to rely on grappling her and forcing her to the mat on repeat on Saturday. Rani Yahya taking on Kang. Yahya made 135.5. Kang 136. Rani looked good, business as usual. He's another one of these guys we don't look too much into. He's been here forever. Kang was absolutely shredded, and I mean like emaciated shredded. Like this guy could be one of those Body Works dummies. He moved well though, so I'm not concerned with it. Doesn't look like a bad cut. Looks like it's very calculated. He's just got that kind of a body. When they face off, Kang is not much bigger than Rani. This is a spot where I've been going back and forth all week that it's like, why am I not betting Kang? Why am I not betting Kang? He's younger, he's bigger, he's longer. Like, I see every advantage here for Kang except for maybe the pure BJJ, which Rani Yahya has. When they face off, it's like, oh, he's not that much bigger. Rani Yahya is a decent bit thicker. Are we sure that Kang is going to be able to control the grappling? I'm not entirely sure. So because of what I'm seeing on the scales, this is a penny saved, penny earned type of situation. I'm not backing Kang. I was fully planning on it, but I'm going to go ahead and stay away from this one. If you want to have a little bit of fun, the Kang round 3 sprinkle, never a bad call because Rani Yahya does tend to slow down and gas out as fights go on. He puts so much effort in early that if he ends up gassing out, Kang can probably get the finish late. I'm thinking Kang by decision is probably the most likely outcome, but Rani Yahya is absolutely live for that club and sub in every single fight, and he's definitely live for that here when his opponent's going to want to take this thing to the ground. Co-main event, Chiesa taking on Sean Brady, and both guys came in at 170.5. What is there to say? Chiesa looked a little nervous on the scales, but good shape. Dude has been here before. He's fine. Sean Brady, totally jacked. The guy's a tank. No skin left for his tattoos, by the way. He's completely covering up his entire body, and he looks like a complete badass. Now, Chiesa's obviously much taller. Brady is obviously much thicker. This is a classic tall and long versus short and squat type of situation. Who's going to be able to handle it best? Talking and laughing as these guys faced off. No bad blood here whatsoever. This is going to be a good fight. I'm on Sean Brady. I got minus 160. That line is moving. There is money coming in on Brady in droves. And because of that, this Michael Chiesa line is getting a little bit out of hand. If I'm being honest, I'm kind of getting cold feet because I can never pick a Michael Chiesa fight right to save my soul. If I can get that plus 175 on Michael Chiesa, lock up a profit, and just ride this one out without any risk on it because I'm always wrong on Michael Chiesa, I may well do that. So I'm not sure. I'm picking Sean Brady. I bet Sean Brady, but because of my history with Chiesa, I'm honestly a little terrified about that. And you should probably fade me on this one. I know there's people out there that fade me regardless, but I'm telling you, if there was one you should fade me on, it's probably this one. Main event time, Ketlen Vieira taking on Miesha Tate. Vieira came in at 136, Tate 135.5. Tate was first to the scale. Vieira was second to the scale. Both these women looking to make some statements here. Blank stare, intensity from Ketlen Vieira. She looks like she's ready to rock in this one. She moved well, no issues at the weigh-ins. I was kind of hoping she would struggle with her weight a little bit on this one, but she did not. Miesha Tate came in, big smile. She's very confident looking, and she looked great. She's in incredible shape right now. When they face off, this is another one where the size surprised me. Ketlen Vieira was not as big as I expected her to be. Miesha Tate got right up with her, and yes, Ketlen Vieira has a size advantage, but it's not overly significant. They got in close, and Miesha looked incredibly confident. Even when they're facing off, Vieira looked like she was kind of trying to intimidate or punk her. Miesha's not going anywhere, folks. This is a spot where I'm probably going to bet on violence. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I just talked about it on Locke's show, but I'm probably going to go ahead and make the bet that this fight doesn't go the distance. You can get plus 110, plus 120 out there, it looks like, on this fight not going the distance. Miesha Tate's talked multiple times about wanting to get that finish. We've seen the gas tank issues for Ketlen Vieira. Both these women can be finished. We've seen Miesha Tate choked out. Ketlen Vieira hits hard as hell. Like, this is a spot where if Vieira comes out like a banshee, Miesha Tate is probably in trouble. However, Ketlen Vieira doesn't know how to control her gas tank, and if she slows down, Miesha Tate is going to make her pay in those championship rounds. Round 3, 4, and 5 is where Vieira struggles the most, and I could absolutely see her getting TKO'd or submitted if this fight gets hairy in those rounds. So I think there's more than enough opportunity for either fighter to finish, and this fight is really close. It's a young prospect who we've all kind of gotten a little down on for some reason versus an aging veteran who was never incredible to begin with. She looks like she's back and better than ever, but how good is she really? We don't really know. So I think I'd rather side with violence than picking a side on this fight. I lean towards Miesha Tate. I like her in the championship rounds. I think that's a big advantage for her with this fight being 25 minutes rather than being 15. So I will pick Miesha Tate for the win, but I think the bet for me is going to be under. That is the Undefeated Post-Weigh In Show, folks. Unfortunately, no slip-ups, no misses. We had everybody come in hard and fast. This was a very quick weigh-in, so not a lot of issues for anybody, not a lot of holes for us to read into. I think we got like one person that I thought looked a little bit off, and that was Cody Durden. I was already planning on betting against him, so not a real true post-weigh-in show read. There's a couple size situations like Ziam and McKinney where that one was a little bit surprising, but it doesn't really anchor the fight a ton. If you had a side in that fight, you're probably still okay to take that side that you were with originally. Either way, good luck, everybody. I hope you make money tomorrow. It's an early start, so make sure you wake up and be ready to come with fights. And hopefully we cash some tickets because there's no fights next week for the UFC, so we need to get out on this little 1 week break on a win. Let's roll.